Cedar Park just posted a 25% jump in closed sales year over year. That sounds like great news, and it is. But before you get too excited, I wanted to show you the number behind the number. We're still down from where this market peaked in 2021, and sales still haven't fully recovered to where they were before COVID. Stick with me here, because once you see why, you'll understand exactly what's happening in Cedar Park right now, and that's whether you are buying or selling. Hey, I'm Cindy Bell with Live Central Texas, and every month I break down what's actually happening in Cedar Park, Texas, the real estate market, not the headlines, the actual data. And today we're covering June 2026. Median price, close price, active listings, and months of inventory. And I'm spending some extra time on that one number today, closed sales, because it looks great on the surface, and the story is what's feeding into it. So let's get into it. Let's start with the median sales price. Cedar Park's median sold price in June came in at $540,000. That's up 4.6 from a year ago. Now, let's zoom out. And back in January of 2019, the median price here was $201,000. So prices have more than doubled since then. You can see a steep climb starting in 2021, and since then prices have held in that $500,000 to $600,000 range. We're not seeing the spikes like we did in 2021 anymore, but we're also not seeing prices fall off either. This market has plateaued, and right now it's ticking up slightly. Now, here's the number I want to dig into. Closed sales price in Cedar Park, Texas. For June, it came in at 93, and that's up 25% from last June. And on its own, that's a strong number. A quarter more homes sold this year than last year. But here's the context you need to understand. Going back 10 years, the average number of June closings in Cedar Park was 182. So even with the year-over-year jump to 93, it's still well below the long-term average. So looking back further at 2025 through 2018, before COVID reshaped our market, and June sales volume was still trailing about 40% behind those years. So the growth chart tells me the same story in a different way. Closed sales growth spiked hard through 21 and early in 2022, and then dropped off, down to almost a negative 40% at the low point. Now we're still climbing out of that hole. Yes, so that's all good news. We're coming out of that hole up back to norms. So yes, the year-over-year number is catching up, but we have not yet caught all the way back to where this market used to be and how it used to run before COVID, or to the same volume we saw prior to 2021 peak. So here's the headline I want to have you understand. Sales are recovering. They just haven't recovered. So if sales are still below the average, what's actually driving that 25% jump? And this is a piece most people miss. It's a trick to understand this whole market update. Active listings sit at 248 right now. That's down 14% from a year ago. Fewer homes than last June. But look at where we started. Back in 2019, the active listings were at 144. Today, we're at 248. For the last 3 years, inventory has running right in with the pre-COVID levels. There's the recovery. But the sales volume hasn't followed. That same pace, we're still trailing about 40% below where the June closing sat. back in 2015 through 2018. So here's why that gap matters. During 2021 and 22, inventory was scraped down to almost nothing. Just a handful of homes, dozens of buyers fighting over each one. Sales couldn't grow because there was nothing to sell. Now, inventory has rebuilt to pre-COVID levels, so buyers have homes to choose from again. And that's what's letting the closed sales climb. But the supply is coming back isn't the same demand that's coming back. Listings are near pre-COVID norms. The sales aren't. That gap is why we're seeing this year-over-year increase and still sitting below the historical averages at the same time, if we look back in history. So both things are true and they are connected. And the last thing I'd like to share with you is the months of inventory. This is how we measure how long it would take to sell everything that's on the market at the current sales pace. And we're at 3.5 months right now, down from 1.2 a year ago. So for context, back in January of 19, months of inventory sat 1.1. That's extremely tight. That's a seller-favored market. 3.5 months today is much more of a balanced market, but we're not in the 2021 frenzied conditions. And we're just not sitting on a glut of unsold homes either. This is a healthier middle ground for both buyers and sellers. So let's put it all together. Median price is up modestly and holding steady above the $500,000 mark. Closed sales are up 25% year over year, but still well below the 10-year June average of 182, and still about 40% behind pre-COVID volume from 2015 to 2018. Active listings have to rebuild back to pre-COVID levels, and that's what's driving the sales recovery. But listings recovering and sales recovering are two separate things. The sales still have to have a lot of ground to make up. So if you're a buyer, this means you have more options than you had during the last couple of years in a market that isn't moving at the 2021 speed. If you're a seller, it means pricing has to be realistic. You're competing with more inventory than you did a year ago or 2 years ago. And if you want to know what this means for your specific street or your specific neighborhood in Cedar Park, drop it in the comments and I'll pull the numbers up for you. Like, subscribe for this monthly market update, and I'll see you on the next one.